Okay, so we are all getting there in a few moments, and welcome to everybody. This is my first time, so you're going to have to be a little bit patient. Old age is not kind, but we are very, very happy as the South African International Ballet Competition to have such a wonderful group of youngsters with us to talk about the competition, to talk about what it takes to become a ballet dancer, what the challenges are that you face on a daily basis. And I'm not just talking about in the studio, I'm also talking about outside the studio. So before we even start introducing all of you, the South African International Ballet Competition will be taking place the 13th to the 18th of July. And you will be able to view it on the new app created, Art of Life, which is one word, and it's available already in the Google Play Store. And that will take you to being able to access it online. For our iOS users or Apple users, you can go to BlueStack and you can upload it from there onto your Mac. And also for those of you who cannot do that and don't want to do that, you can email us at saibconline@gmail.com, and we will be able to forward you the connection to be able to do it from your Apple devices. The competition had to go online, as we know, because it's COVID-19 time. And we felt that we didn't want to postpone the competition. We didn't want to put it off because we weren't sure when exactly we will be able to move back into theaters. And so many of the young dancers in the world have been training, have been working hard, have been busy with ballet. And then suddenly, like with everybody else, it was just taken away from us. And so when I spoke to our fantastic panel of judges, they immediately came back and said, they agree with the fact that we are going to take it online. And so we started the process of checking with South African jury members, competitors, checking with different competitors and teachers, and then starting to speak to some people overseas to see if they would be interested in actually joining us. And then I was able to get more people to come, and I'm just trying to get more people on. You're going to have to bear with me because two of our panelists are joining right now. And now I have to see how I do the next thing. Lauge will come and help me. So I've given them permission. Now I have to more and make them panelists. Hey. Wait one moment. So while he's doing that, we had to see how will we do it and how do we get something that is as beautiful, as live as ballet to be still beautiful and gorgeous online. And so that's how the dancers that are all sitting here decided that they would take part. So we did a whole process of finding dancers, and we had more dancers than ever before enter our competition. We had 155 dancers from 30 countries that have entered. And it's been amazing because for the first time, dancers from South America, dancers from New Zealand, dancers from Malaysia, who in the past were never able to fly to South Africa because it was always too far and the time zone difference, because you then have to come and spend a few days in South Africa to acclimatize, we're suddenly able to do it. So as you guys know, you have entered your solos or your pas de deux, classical and contemporary. And since Saturday, the jury have been spending literally hours and hours and on viewing your solos and writing comments, which you will be receiving after the competition. And it's been amazing just for you guys to know how much they have enjoyed it. And I would like at this stage in particular to say hi to one of our fellow jury members, Sharlene Kerry from Missoula, Montana. But Charlene is also the head of an organization called Ballet Beyond Borders. And I think that particularly is what makes Charlene and myself click so much, because ballet is way more than what we see on stage. What we see on stage is the beauty, is the dancing, is the beautiful music, is everything. But it's what happens before and after the performance, I think, in so many ways, that you become so much more involved, and then it gets different legs. So let's quickly introduce Charlene. And Charlene, would you like to just also introduce yourself and talk about what you have seen, and particularly then also about Ballet Beyond Borders?
Yes, good morning from Missoula, Montana. And for those of you that aren't on even our continent, I was born in Chicago, grew up in New York, and lived in Los Angeles, and now I'm in Missoula, Montana, which is a very, very different place than what you probably think of the United States. It's a university town. It's nestled in the beautiful Rocky Mountains. We're in the state of Montana. We have more cows than people in our state. And it's an unusual place for a ballet destination. I moved here over 20 years ago from Montana and started a pre-professional training program. The other thing that makes our school, which is actually Rocky Mountain Ballet Theater, very unique is we don't do the Nutcracker or Swan Lake. We primarily do ballets that reflect Montana and also the United States from time to time. And we take those ballets everywhere around the world, along with the conversations that are important to the Great American West and Montana, and also the US. An example would be that we have, you would think we'd make ballets about grizzly bears that we have, and rainbow trout. We're a great fishing destination. But instead, we also make ballets about wheat fields and the national Christmas tree that went to Washington, D.C. And we have a level 4 lab here that's working on COVID-19 and Ebola. And we've made ballets for the scientists as well. So I embrace what's happening today in the world, primarily today, and what's going to happen tomorrow, which would include all of you. I think it's very important that dancers learn languages. Our dancers now are learning some Chinese for the opportunity to go to China, and Spanish to go to Cuba. And we haven't been to Africa. We haven't been to South Africa. We hope that we will visit you there. And I would love to host all of you here. So I'm primarily interested in not just your beautiful variations that I very much enjoyed watching, but I'd like to get to know you at your home and in mine, and to help you achieve whatever your really big goals are. Not just dance, but I've discovered some of you might go on to become leaders in your arts organizations and even in your countries. And my organization and me specifically want to help you with that. So lots of love from Montana, and we've got some Montana children here. Dirk has been here, and we both, yes, very much believe in the broader role that not just, dancers have, but you specifically, because you all are the future. No?
Thank you very much, Charlene. Then one of our other panelists is Sophie Rebecca. And Sophie has a beautiful story. And I just find it unbelievably inspiring that change can take so many forms in our life, and can inspire and give hope to so many other people. And I think particularly that, Sophie, if you could talk a little bit about that. And I promise we are going to get to the dancers in one moment. Just have a little bit of patience with us. So Sophie, if you can just say a few words.
I'll try my short version because, as you can probably tell by the T-shirt, I've been roped into Charlene's Ballet Beyond Board as well, which is one of the reasons I'm here with you all now. I didn't start dancing until about the age of 34. I'm now 40. My route to ballet was complicated by my own journey with my gender identity. I'm a transgender woman, and I kind of didn't accept that myself for the first 26 years of my life. And although that was a big part of my life, dance, I always wanted to be a dancer since I was very little. But I never found a teacher who was willing to teach me female variations. And I didn't want dance, which I knew was in my soul, to be somewhere else that was a prison of my gender. So that's why I took so long to come to ballet. And as an adult, I've taken RAD exams. I've been very lucky to perform thanks to Charlene and some other opportunities. And it's fabulous to finally be me and to be dancing. And, you know, I might be old, but I'm still working hard in the studio almost every day and trying to be the best dancer I can. And just to echo the message that Dirk and Charlene have said is I've been backstage at these competitions, and what I absolutely love is seeing dancers help each other across language barriers. You know, so two dancers who can't necessarily communicate verbally, helping each other out. And there's a wonderful sense of community and spirit at these competitions that's absolutely fabulous to see.
Thank you very, very much, Sophie. That is really beautiful. Now let's start talking a little bit about to the dancers. So Annabelle, we're going to start with you. And then after Annabelle, we're going to show you a short little video, and then we're going to continue to Anthony, and then we'll go on and on and on. And I'm saying that because I want Lauge, who's helping me behind the scenes, to also know when he will have to have the video ready, because as I've said, this is all very, very new. And so it's wonderful that we can do that. So Annabelle, if you can just introduce yourself a little bit and give us a bit of a background about you.
Hi, I'm Annabelle Thomas. I dance with RMBT, which is Charlene's school, and I'm 13, and I live in Missoula, Montana. Yeah.
Good. So we're now in the process of setting up a video of a dancer that many of you will have seen, because it's literally been viewed by millions and millions of dancers around and people around the world. So let's watch the video and then we'll introduce him. So that is young Anthony Madhu from Nigeria. And we are very, very, very happy to have Anthony with us, as well as his teacher, Daniel. And Daniel, I met last year when I went to do a teacher's course in Nigeria in the Cuban ballet methodology.
The course here in Nigeria.
And so really, really, it is Ballet Beyond Borders. It is taking ballet all over 6 of the Earth's continents. So hello, Daniel. Hello, Anthony. Tell us about yourselves.
Hello. My name is Daniel Owosinaja, the creative director for Leap of Dance Academy, Lagos, Nigeria. And here is my student.
Anthony. Hello, my name is Anthony. My name is Anthony Madhu.
So
I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, we're very happy to have you with us. It's really, really great to have both of you with us. And we're going to ask you a lot of questions just now, but let's move to South Africa and let's say hi to Paige McElligott.
Hello, My name is Paige McElligott and I'm a dancer in South Africa. I'm 17 years old and I absolutely love participating in SIBC this year. It was such fun to just dance again on stage and to be able to get that adrenaline and just to dance again. So
Thanks,
thank you,
Paige.
Dirk.
Thank you very much. And it's really lovely to have seen you back on stage and dancing indeed. Dimitri, you're next.
Hello, my name is Dimitri Garretson Donaldson. I am 15 years old. And I dance with Charlene as well, living in Missoula, Montana. I've been dancing for about 5 years, started when I was about 10, and have loved competing with you guys.
And you know what? The competition is one part of the whole competition, but it really is about sharing and connecting. And I'm hoping that after even this conversation that some of you will become Facebook friends, and at some stage when we can run the South African International Ballet Competition again, we will have some of you actually travel to South Africa. But Dimitri, I must just tell you that your contemporary solo was truly one of the most moving performances that I had seen in the competition. The audience would not have seen it. The rest of the competitors might have seen some of it in the 3 days that you were allowed to upload your videos. But I really, really enjoyed it. So thank you so much for sharing your beauty of dance with us.
Thank you.
Next, I would like to introduce Naomi.
Hi, I'm Naomi Byrne. I'm from Missoula also and dance with Charlene. I'm 16 and I've been dancing for most of my life, maybe, I don't know, 7 years maybe. I'm just so happy to meet you all and be here.
Thank you very much. And then last, but certainly not least, Naveen Jacobs.
Hi, my name is Nadine Jacobs. I'm 17 years old. I'm from South Africa. I dance with the Jersey Youth Dance Company, and I've been dancing for the past 4 years. Yeah.
Good. So now you guys have met one another or each other. And do any of you have any questions about what it is that you do, what it is that makes you keep on dancing? Because as we all know, it's not always that easy to keep on dancing. The hours are grueling, the pain on the toes for the ladies, the sore backs, the sore legs for the youngsters. What is it that keeps you guys going all the time? Anybody? I'm not going to assign. So yes.
I don't mind breaking the ice. I'm not seeing anyone else on mute. I've always struggled to answer this one as to why. People often ask me why I'm a dancer, and I don't think I can ever say why I'm a dancer. I just am a dancer. It's that feeling you get from your soul that you have to dance, you have to perform. It's the way that music moves through you, and I would very much hope that's the same with everyone else. I can see some nods. Come on, Annabelle.
Yes.
Yeah, I just think I find a lot of joy when I dance, and it's not really like something that I can stop doing just because I find like it's just something that I always have to do because I love it.
Anthony, let's talk to you. So what made you start to dance, and how do you keep dancing? How do you feel in Nigeria? Dancing is what makes you happy. Can you tell us, please, Anthony?
Dance, why I love dancing is because my passion and support from my parents and my teacher here, Mr. Daniel.
So how long have you been dancing for, Anthony?
I've been dancing for 2 years and some months.
Okay. And do you have any questions for any of these dancers?
No.
No?
Can I ask Anthony a question? What initially triggered your passion for dance?
What made you like dancing?
What made me to like dancing is I love dancing even when I'm sleeping I dreamed about dance. I dreamed that I'm dancing on a big stage. I just love dancing. Oh no.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. What makes me
Very,
laugh
very
is
soon.
if my teacher's watching this, I love moaning about the floor. After seeing your video, I'm never going to be able to use that excuse ever again. It's like,
That's true. Dancing on the rock ground.
So, and Daniel, where did you find, or how did it happen that that you got to Anthony?
Okay, Anthony started dancing like the second Saturday I opened my academy in 2017. Like I started Hip Hop Dance Academy in 2017. The second Saturday I started was when he registered. His mom came over and said she would like him to dance because she'd noticed the flair for dance. And he was just 8 years old that time. And I was like, okay, can I see him? And I saw him and immediately he came. He's been very amazing as a dance student here. Thank you.
So let's keep it to the boys for a moment, because boys being dancers is not a very common occurrence.
Exactly.
So tell me a little bit more about that. Dimitri, what made you start, and what did you have to overcome, if anything, if you for you to start dancing?
For me, it was actually, I used to be a gymnast and I hurt my back pretty bad. So I couldn't really do it for a long time. So I tried to figure something else out to do. And I decided to just try dancing. And one of the harder parts is there was no boys class. There was only like the main academy class. There was no boys in that class. It was only me. And I'm still the only boy, but there's been a few other boys throughout the years, but they never stay too long, so.
Naveen, you?
I also was like a gymnast, but I had like this really bad ankle injury. And then my sister was a dancer, so I went to go watch one of her performances. And then after that, I felt inspired to try dancing. And that's when I found Jade and I started dancing. But yeah, it's also just a lot of stereotypes that I had to like deal with, and also like the expectations. But yeah.
Cool. Paige, talk to us.
Dancing kind of runs through the family. So my grand's a ballet teacher and so is my mom. And since I was like 3 years old, I started ballet and I've always loved it. I did artistic gymnastics and then I decided ballet was more for me, and I just fell in love with ballet and the music and everything I just love about it. Every day I come to ballet and it helps me get through my days and it just brings so much joy.
Fantastic. We have a new panelist that just joined us. Piper, welcome. It was nice to see your videos in the competition. So quickly tell us a little bit more about yourself.
So my name is Piper Lestico. I'm 16 and I also dance with RMBT, so that's Charlene's studio. Currently I was late because I'm actually at the hospital right now. I have a few autoimmune disorders and so I'm getting treatment right now. I'm actually in a hospital bed. But I guess for like dance, I've been able to use it as a type of therapy to kind of help me with all of my medical stuff, and being at dance and expressing myself through that form of art is kind of what saved me from, I don't know, it's kept me happy. So yeah.
I think that's very, very important, because so many times, as I said earlier, people think that it's about the swan lake and the tiara and the tutu and the point shoe. But we forget the collateral value of ballet. We forget what else it means to us. And That's why it's so beautiful to hear your story, even though it doesn't look like you're in a hospital, but with a beautiful picture. Is that part of the Rocky Mountains behind you?
Yeah, this is a picture of my sister and I on a hike, and I don't know how to change the background, so that's what
But
it
we
is.
like it. And you
Yeah.
live, as Charlene had said before, I think it's about 3 years ago, I was lucky enough to be in Missoula, and I thought I was going to die because of the cold, because I am not really great with the cold, but it's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to. And the people
Yeah.
are special. And that's what I love about the four of you being here, and the way that people like Charlene is having such an incredible impact on the lives of so many wonderful kids. And this is what's so nice is, again, when we decided to do this conversation kind of as a precursor to the competition, we immediately started thinking, who would we invite? And every single one that I had asked didn't say or no or maybe. No, they all said, yes, we are in, we're going to be there. And that is what makes ballet dancers and dancers such a special breed, is the commitment, is the passion, is the hard work, is the fact that we don't take off on Sundays or Saturdays or Mondays or no, we just keep on going and we just believe it has to happen. Like with the competition, we could have said, well, you know what, it's COVID-19 time, so maybe we shouldn't be doing it. But no, we said, we're going to be doing it. And then you all came to the party and you made it work. Annabelle, any comments from you?
I guess like how I started to dance was my mom, when I was little, I never stopped moving. Like I never sat still. So she was like, oh, let's put her in something that she always moves. So I kind of started dance. I started dancing when I was 7, and then it just kind of stuck, and I really love it.
Good. Naomi, you?
My family has a lot of, I guess, dance background. So when I was little, she tried to put me in ballet, but I wasn't into it. So I did modern when I was really little and then joined ballet later.
Cool. So, Naveen, if you had to help and talk Anthony through the next 2 or 3 years, because you only started 2 years before him, what kind of, I don't want to say advice, I think advice might be a little bit presumptuous, but what kind of guidance would you give somebody like Anthony? And then there's many, many more boys out there that are starting to think, you know what, this ballet thing, as much as people make fun of it, it's actually quite fun, or this dance thing is actually not such a bad thing. Tell us a little bit more of, number one, what would you say to Anthony? But number two, also, what and where has ballet taken you? And do you think you would have been able to have gotten there had it not been for ballet?
Well, firstly, I'd say, I mean, it is pretty tough being a ballet dancer. Like, there has been times where I was like, do I really want to still be doing this? But then, like, I'd come to my senses, if I can put it that way, and I'd realize that it's literally, I literally breathe, eat, sleep, dance. And even though it's hard, even though it's tough, I still push through it. And then I always find it very rewarding, because with ballet, I've been able to travel to places I've never seen before. Like, I've been to Portugal, I've been to Utah, I've been to Serbia, I've been to, yeah, lots of places. I've also been to Croatia, and it's just been amazing. So yeah.
Any other ones of you that want to talk? You know, Charlene spoke of Ballet Beyond Borders and the amount of travel that happens outside of your own world. But what kind of travel, in quotation marks, happens inside your community? If you think of, you know, Piper was just talking beautifully just now about how ballet and dancing is helping her at the moment with her health, with her coping with her health. and with her challenges, what kind of journey or travel has dance helped you, and you personally, but also in your community? And community doesn't mean just the area that you live in, but it means your family, it means your small circle of friends, and then it could mean so many other things as well.
Well, I was able to go to Italy and Portugal with Charlene a few years ago, and I think just it was really a game changer seeing how well, we were at Honorella's school for a summer intensive, and there were students from all over the place, and a lot of us didn't speak the same language, and we couldn't really understand each other at all, but we all like got along and kind of developed a sense of friendship through dance because we were all in these classes and learning together and being able to dance together and communicate through dance. I mean, it's a language that everybody can understand, and I think that that's really been helpful.
Dirk, can I hop in and ask Naveen a question?
Yes.
So Naveen, you mentioned earlier some of the preconceptions of boys in ballet, and you've also touched on the sort of challenges of dancing. When you said that, how much of the challenge of dancing is down to the physical requirements and the strains it places on your body versus the emotional toll of how people perceive male dancers?
I feel like I struggled more with the emotional stuff. Like I used to get bullied a lot in school for being a dancer. And then there came that conception that all male dancers are gay, but that's not really the case. And also, yeah, I just really got put down a lot. But the physical challenges, those were less draining, if I can put it that way. It was just more the emotional stuff that's like the hard part. But once you get through that, I feel you can get through anything.
Yeah, it's a shame that male dancers have to go through that. And it's obviously a thread that seems to run through a lot of dancers. Some of the professional males of Royal Ballet in the UK, they've done documentaries on it and on their path. And it's a horrible undercurrent that society really needs to move on from. Its preconceptions of what it means to be a dancer and to do dance. So for other boys wanting to dance or getting into dance, have you got any advice on how you've dealt with that emotional? Are there any responses that you tend to use, or is it just about removing yourself from the situation or blocking it out?
Well, I normally like my mom's like my best friend, so like I'll talk to her about all my like emotional problems and I'll let her know. But also with regards to those bullies, I normally just turn the other cheek and I ignore them. I mean, it's hard at first, but eventually you get used to them putting you down and you eventually learn to just let them be and move on.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do to change their narrow minds, and you've traveled the world with your dancing and it makes you happy and it's what you do. Yeah, I think that's the best way to sort of prove them wrong, isn't it? It's just to be you and be happy and enjoy what you do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a very good question, and I think it's something that Sophie, you mentioned that it's been going on for years and years and years, and in many ways we kind of almost have learned to accept it. And I think the onus is on us to start saying we don't want that anymore. We don't, and we won't allow that to be the case anymore. And so I keep on talking about the repackaging and the re-languaging of ballet and dance. And I think that is something that we need to think of. You know, I have a ballet company called Mzansi Ballet. And before I had that ballet company, I called it Mzansi Productions, because I didn't want to put the word ballet into the name, because ballet speaks to a very, very small world, whereas dance and the concept of a production went much, much further. And it really became much easier to get even meetings with potential funders, supporters, television networks, because the word ballet wasn't built in it. And then when I started in Mzansi Ballet, I took a decision that no, I need to be that change. I need to be part of that change, which is one of the reasons also why we started the South African International Ballet Competition. And I want us to come a little bit back to the competition because the reason why I wanted the competition to be in South Africa, this is the only international competition on the African continent. And is because when I traveled to Cuba and America and Russia and we saw all of these amazing training that was taking place. And in some ways I was feeling that we were lagging behind in South Africa. And I wanted to be able to have a young Naveen or a young Paige see those dancers and understand what was going on and understand how and what it takes to become that. But it still is a mindset change, I believe, that needs to take place in our own heads. We don't have to explain it anymore. I often say to people, it's like coming out. Why do gay people have to come out? Why can't we just be who we are? And in the same way, why do we have to say I'm a ballet dancer and then immediately have to qualify, justify, or say no? I don't believe we have to. Do you ever hear a rugby or a soccer player or a football player say, I am a football player, but no, nothing. I'm a football player with pride and there's no prejudice. And I think that's something that I would love for the youngsters to start thinking about from their perspective. I don't know what you guys think about it. So I'm going to leave that question with you a little bit, but also seeing that I have you here and seeing that I'm the one that puts the ballet competition together. What would you guys like to see in a competition? What would you like to change in the competition? And how would you like to make it better if you could? Let's go through all of you and see what kind of comments you have on those questions. Paige, let's start with you.
So I've competed in SAIBC. This would be my third time, and I've loved the experience. I've also been to competitions in China, in Switzerland, and many places. And I love how SAIBC gives me the opportunity to dance in an international competition and have my family and friends watch me. Because when I've gone overseas, I've gone like with my mom, and it's been hard for my family to also see that. So I love that about SAIBC. I think to judge the classes and is a good thing. Yeah.
That's a good point. Dimitri.
For me, I don't really have any way to give any like helpful like criticizing or anything because this is my first time ever doing it. Haven't done any of the classes yet, so it's kind of hard to give any helpful advice. But so far I've been having a really good time being able to, even during coronavirus, it's been nice being able to dance again and video and kind of be on stage, even if it wasn't an actual stage. It just helped with like getting back into it again for me.
Thank you. Annabelle.
Yeah, I don't know, this is my first time also, but I really love conversations like these, like with all of us together, even though it's online. I think that's really important and cool.
So how can we encourage, Annabelle, don't turn off the mute button yet. How can we encourage this kind of conversation to have more of it, number one, but also to continue it after we turn the turn off button at the end of all of this?
I think that, yeah, I think if we just like stay connected and like, I don't know, like if you guys come to Ballet Beyond Borders and stuff like that, like if we have like not necessarily the competitions like connect, but again connect, because like if we have the like some of the same dancers, that would really like collaboration.
Cool. So Annabelle is one of the dancers on Monday, because we're going to have with the competition every day a panel discussion with some of our jury members and then with guest panelists. So we have 5 different ones. On Monday the 13th, we will have a general jury discussion. On Tuesday the 14th, we will have a panel discussion with the heads of the Cuban National Ballet School, the Queensland Ballet Academy, from Berlin Ballet Academy, from the Zurich Dance Academy, from Anarella. Anarella will actually be in the discussion. And I'm missing out one and I can't remember who that is, but that's on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we're doing ballet in Africa, and we will be talking to people in Nigeria as well, in Eswatini, which used to be Swaziland, in Kenya, and then South Africa. On Thursday, we're doing a ballet diplomacy day, and that will be chaired by Charlene. And we will be talking to Sophie, we will be talking to Roman Baca, who will be talking as to how he uses ballet and dance to help with the dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder. And we will have an American senator, a former ambassador, to talk about the actual use of ballet and dance in diplomacy, which is something very, very important. And then on the Friday, we will be talking to Julio Boca, former superstar from American Ballet Theater. We will be talking to Tamara Rojo, the director of the English National Ballet. We'll be talking to Madame Fang Ying, who is the director of the National Ballet of China, to Professor Kim, who was a former director of the National Ballet of Korea. We will be speaking to Aurelian Scanella, who is the director of the West Australian Ballet, and it will be chaired by our chairman of our jury, Mr. Ted Brunson, who will be talking about ballet companies. How are they coping with COVID-19? What are they thinking about competitions? How can we make competitions better? How do we change the face of ballet? We will be talking about issues such as Black Lives Matter. And how do we make ballet stories more relevant and more of today? You know, Charlene spoke right in the beginning in her introduction that Rocky Mountain Ballet Theatre isn't doing Swan Lake or Nutcracker, but they are creating new shows. And I think we need to tell more stories of today. We should never forget about Swan Lake and Nutcracker, because those are our benchmarks. That's how we kind of check how are we faring against the rest of the world. So coming back to talking to one another, so that was just a bit of a commercial break. Annabelle will be one of the dancers who on Monday will be joining the jury, because I'm allowing 10 to 15 young dancers to join in a conversation like this, to see how can they talk and what can they, sorry, how can they deal with all of this? So I want you to think, Annabelle, what is it that you're going to want to ask them? Oh my gosh. So please think about that. Naveen, any suggestions from you?
I don't really have suggestions, but I've really enjoyed competing in SIBC. It's my second time this year. Yeah, it's just been really relieving to get back to dancing and back to rehearsals. And yeah, I love the experience.
Naomi, you?
I think it's been really, I don't have any feedback, but I think it's been really nice to have something to prepare for, because with COVID, it's like you do have goals, but there's less things to do, I guess. But I'm excited to like, I guess, kind of meet the jury members and like have them see me, because I don't know, it's just exciting for me.
That's really nice. Piper?
Yeah, I think what Naomi said, I definitely agree with that, because we aren't really sure when like we aren't sure about anything, I guess. And so being able to have something to prepare for and like goals and everything, I think that she's definitely right about that. And being able to film and just like getting like dressed up and stuff in a costume again and being able to perform has been really nice. I don't really have any feedback either, but I think that it's been really great to be able to do this, and it's a good opportunity for sure.
Thank you very much. Now, you guys have all been introduced very, very briefly to the Art of Life app. And as I mentioned earlier, at this stage, it's available on Android, and there are ways to get onto the Apple version of it through BlueStacks, and we are working to have it in the iStore very soon. And the purpose of the app, one of the things is that we will be able to do the competition via the app. But the app is also going to be able to be used in future to do one of the projects that we have as the South African International Ballet Competition. And the competition is funded by the National Lotteries Commission in South Africa in a very small part, as well as by the Western Cape government. And we thank both of those organizations for their tremendous help. And we're really, really happy that they have come aboard to assist us. But the training teachers in the townships has become something that is very important to me, because for many years there have been development programs where we would fetch a few kids living in a township and we would bring them to be trained. But the reality is we cannot reach enough kids to make a real impactful difference. So 4 years ago, I started a program called Training Teachers in the Townships, where we started training dancers who live in the township and people who only have an interest even in ballet to become ballet teachers, because they then are able to, where they live, start teaching on and start earning an income. And suddenly, instead of training 40 kids, we are reaching now through the program more than 1,000 kids already. So that slowly but surely is having a huge impact. So that's one of the other beneficiaries of the app. But the app really is also about creating a worldwide connection between theaters. And that's really what I want us to be, from my side, not from your side, to really look at being able to connect every single theater in the world into this one app, so that you will be able to say, I'm traveling to London, what's on in London? And I'm sitting in Johannesburg or in Lagos or in Missoula, and I can open up the shows in London, and I will get a whole selection either by theater or by production name. And then I'll be able to choose which one I would like to go to. And then I will be able to click on the buy now ticket or a button, and it will take me straight to the ticket provider of this particular show that will then allow us to be able to access any show anywhere in the world. And I really want us to be able to have theaters from Soweto, which is one of the most famous townships in South Africa, to Missoula, to San Francisco, to London, to Beijing, all on this particular app, because that would really make it easier for people to start supporting the arts even more. Another commercial break. So Charlene, you have been very, very quiet, and you actually were the one that kind of instigated this particular conversation. So let's get you to get talking a little bit.
Well, I have a couple responses to what we've heard in the last few minutes. Number one, I think it's interesting about how you phrased choosing your title for your organization. I used the word theater at the end. So we kept ballet from the beginning in Rocky Mountain Ballet, but I added the word theater because it just made it a much richer experience and could incorporate many other genres and ideas into my productions. Also, the discussion about, bullying and challenges. I just want to remind, our young dancers too, and the adults, that there isn't one of us that doesn't have, a challenge. The body challenges are there for dancers and non-dancers. Sometimes it's financial challenges, sometimes it's geographical challenges, but it's for certain that we don't all get privileged in every category. So I think that that's something that dancers are uniquely prepared for. but just to be, you know, thoughtful that it is true that everybody is challenged in some direction or not. Also very excited to hear that some of you have already been to Utah, which is very near Montana, actually. We're right above that. And some other questions that I had for the Africans, I didn't mention it before, but another unique quality about Montana and our particular school is when we travel and we perform, we frequently take our cowboys with us. And in other words, we don't have dancers portraying cowboys. We take the actual cowboys, whether they're doing poetry or roping, or I put them into my kick line with all the girls behind and they're doing rope tricks. And we also take our Native Americans, which are very diverse and wonderful indigenous communities that we have here in Montana, including the Blackfeet tribe, which is up near the border of Canada, and the Salish Kootenai dancers. They perform with us locally, nationally, internationally, and again, they not just bring their dances, but they help us understand their culture, which leads me to one of our favorite dancers who has been here many times is Undie Lee, who's, you know, with Washington Ballet now, but he not only brought his Washington Ballet classical repertoire and his contemporary repertoire, he also brought us the Zulu tribe dances and performed those in the gala, and then even did improvisation with the Pakistani drummers and other incredible artists from around the globe. So I'm wondering if these beautiful young dancers from Africa, that when they come to Montana or meet me in Los Angeles or wherever our next destination is where we will meet in person, if those dances, or if there are other stories or things you would want to contribute that specifically are going to communicate from exactly where you are in the world, not just the ballets, as we mentioned. So I'm very curious to get a response from the African dancers about that. And then lastly, just an FYI, when Dirk was mentioning the different judges and people that you'll be meeting with and talking to and being seen next week, our wonderful judge from Beijing, Madame Feng, I actually met her for the first time in China, and then the second time in Washington, DC. And when I met her in Washington, DC, she was with the company performing the Red Army Women's, Detachment Ballet, which is it's a masterpiece from the Chinese repertoire, like The White-Haired Girl, that are about the Cultural Revolution. So when Dirk is mentioning, what are you doing? Yes, the roots are in those ballets for them from the 70s, very important time in their history. But, my date that night was I was with our former senator, Max Baucus, and his wife, Melody Haynes. So we went backstage with that diplomacy in our heart and pocket to meet the dancers and talk about the ballet in Washington, not in China. So these circles are like throwing a pebble into the water, and they reach very distant shores. And so those were a number of my thoughts immediately, but I am very intrigued to hear from the African dancers, a little bit more about your daily life and your culture and how you can bring that with your dances the next time we meet. Dirk, you want to assign someone, or should just somebody want to jump in?
Can I say?
Yes.
Sometimes we do contemporary dances to like African drumming. I've once done a production with the marimbas, and I just find the rhythm is unbelievable. It just brings like out inner joy, and I love dancing to that sort of music. And yeah.
Do you like to do your own choreography as well?
It's not my favorite, but I do enjoy it, and I do find that when it's like this beat and there's such a specific beat, and I love it. I just think there's such a different style to it, and yeah, I do like it.
Bravo, Paige.
Daniel? And Anthony, because Daniel, do you still dance?
Yeah, just a little, just a little, but not so much. Maybe I choreograph. Yeah. I want to jump in a bit to actually what Madhu just said. I think it's actually very, very good. I really like the suggestion of trying to involve our.
Daniel, can you come a little bit closer to your microphone, please?
I think it's actually very, very amazing. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay?
That's better, yes.
Okay. I really key into what Madam Chen just said. It's actually very amazing to actually see the fusion of our own culture to the proposed standard ballet thing. You know, last year, I just got off a Zoom call before now, and we're thinking of actually, last year we were supposed to do not but with African setup and everything. And now our students actually working on Swan Lake. It's going to be like a class project, but we're going to do it in an African setting. So using African costumes, still retaining the original Swan Lake theme song, but then African movements and rhythm. I think this thing is actually very, very true, and it's actually a time for us to pick up our own thing and introduce it to the world, because African rhythm or African ballet is very, very strong when it comes to contemporary or trying to bring the African vibe to it. So it's a very, very strong talk that I think it's something I really want to do, and I'm looking towards it. And thank you very much for that idea. Thank you.
Naveen.
Yes.
What? Yes. What is your answer to Charlene?
Well, as a colored, we have like this, like, we don't have traditional dancing as a colored, but we have like this vibe-ish music. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but like when music comes on, we like just let ourselves loose and just enjoy the music and let the music tell us what to do, which is also like really fun to do. And it also looks really fun. So yeah.
That's cool. We did with the Mzansi Ballet, we did a ballet where we mixed classical ballet with pansula. And pansula is a very typical South African dance with a fantastic rhythm and everything. And what I found most amazing is that we asked the pansula dancers to do ballet class, and we asked the ballet dancers to do the pansula. And for me, that was the journey that was so beautiful. The production in the end was gorgeous, and the music was beautiful, but it was getting to understand one another by dancing together that I really, really love, because I feel that so many of the unhappiness of the war in the world is because we don't understand and respect one another enough. And when we are afraid of someone, we react out, and we do some things that is more a reaction than a thought through process. And I honestly believe that when we start dancing together, we will be able to understand and respect one another. One of my other hats is that I'm a movement therapist, and so often we do diversity training in South Africa, where we are trying to get people to understand the difference between a Zulu person and a Xhosa person and a Sotho person and an Afrikaner and an Englishman, etc. And we have these academic sessions, but it's when we bring our own music and we start moving together and we sharing our movement and we get to talk about our experiences, that I feel that we touch an inner part of ourselves that is so hard to explain, but it has a much longer lasting impact on one another. And in South Africa, it was dance that was one of the first groupings that had black and white people dancing together when it wasn't okay yet. They were the ones that were pushing the boundaries, and the dancers just got on with it. It wasn't a process. They were just, it was choreographed. You stand there, and you just dance together. And I remember even with my youth ballets, we would have the kids from the townships and the girls from the city. And at one stage, they would rehearse in different places because of our economic situation. But then when we brought the kids together, there was always the first 10 minutes to a half an hour where nobody spoke to anybody. And then there was a moment where you literally physically had to hold somebody's hand because you had to dance with them. And from that moment, the division was gone. And people just became people who loved dancing together. And that's what I like just about our group today. It doesn't matter who you are or what you are. It's the fact that we can all come together in this particular venue at the moment is the SAIBC, but whether it's Ballet Beyond Borders in Missoula, or whether it's the production of Swan Lake or Benghazi, or whatever it is, it's that coming together that I find brings out the true value of classical ballet or dance in our lives. And I think that is what I want everybody to take with them in the end. That is really the value. You know, so often people think that ballet and dance is the cherry on top of the cake. And for me, it's not. It's the flour that keeps the cake together. It's what makes us be a society. It's the mirror that we need to say, look at us as a society, and let's reflect where we are at, and let's push those boundaries, and let's not just accept things the way they are. You know, when COVID-19 started happening, people were running around and doing things, and I had a little motto that said, relax, reflect, renew with respect, because I honestly felt that we were just having to just sit back for a moment. This is what COVID-19 has given us. It has given us that time to just spend with one another and with ourselves and our own thoughts. And I think that's what's important. We are kind of out of time. And so I would like for each one of you just to quickly give us a parting shot and to say goodbye. And Charlene, you'll be the last one before I say my final goodbye. So we're going to go Paige, Naveen, Dimitri, Annabelle, Sophie, Piper, and then Naomi, and then Charlene. Let's start with you, Paige.
It was really nice meeting everyone. Thank you so much, Dirk, for the opportunity. And thank you for the exposure from this year's SAIBC.
Thank you. Naveen.
Yeah, it was really nice meeting all of you. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I hope we could have one again, even if I'm not a part of it, but for there to be one again. But yeah, thank you.
Dimitri?
It was really nice meeting all of you, and thank you for the opportunity as well. And hopefully we can all meet again at another competition or just as people again. So
thank you. Annabelle?
Yeah, just thank you so much for inviting me to be able to have this conversation and to be able to meet all of you and talk about all these things.
Sophie.
Just to say thank you very much for the conversation, everyone. It's been lovely to meet some of you. And Dirk, to thank you for arranging this, because you touched on it earlier, that dance is just one part of it. And I think dance between an audience and a dancer is an intensely emotional exchange. It's a very honest exchange. And it's about those connections we make between people as human beings, whether it be whatever culture or wherever we come from, whatever we do, that helps open up that conversation. And it's one of the things I love for Ballet Beyond Borders and also the South African International Ballet Competition is when these younger dancers all connect and follow each other on social media, it opens them up to so much more culture and experiences of other people's perspectives. And I think that's a fabulous legacy beyond just the dancing it does.
Thank you. Piper.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity, and it's nice to meet everybody. And I'm really glad to be part of this conversation. There are a lot of words of wisdom to remember and really interesting things to think about. So thank you for letting me be a part of it.
Piper, thank you so much for joining us from the hospital bed and sharing with us. And I send from us care to you, and I really, really hope that all of the treatment will help and will have you better. And Yes, we send you much love.
Thank you.
Naomi.
Thanks so much for the opportunity. It was so nice to meet you all. And I think these are really important conversations to have. So I really like that I'm part of it. Thank you.
Charlene.
Yes, I'm going to suggest we make a date after the gala is over and that whole week to this group Dirk, maybe we can meet again, because then we can talk about the actual competition experience and the gala experience that this group actually had. And at that moment, we can plan for the future. We will be beyond the South African event, and we can compare notes. So I'm hoping that maybe we can organize a recap the week following the competition. And I hope to bring Piper to South Africa along with our other dancers at some point. And you truly all have an invitation with me. So we will figure out whether we meet in Los Angeles or Montana, to all the Africans and also to your teachers. And I just want to say I'm very proud to be part of Dirk's competition, and I'm glad that Ballet Beyond Borders and his organization are teaming up together for this event, because I think more is better for sure and necessary. And I want to applaud not just you, but all the other competitors that we'll meet next week, that you're very brave, because I know it was difficult to prepare anything to perform. Some of you probably haven't had classes or had time in the studio, and that goes way beyond this particular group that's with us right now. But bravo to each and every one of you, and big kiss and hug, socially distant as far as I could possibly be, to everybody who's participating right now and next week. Thank you, Dirk.
Charlene, it's fantastic to have gotten to know you 3 years ago, but this experience has just brought it so much nicer and closer and put Ballet Beyond Borders into a practical experience. So thank you very much, Sophie. It's beautiful to just be able to understand and get to understand you as a person, and I looking forward to your conversation more on Thursday afternoon. So dancers, make sure that you watch.
Oh, they've heard it so many times before. The BBB people can have a day off.
No. Never take a day off. We know that. Paige, Naveen, Dimitri, Annabelle, Naomi, Piper, and then Daniel and Anthony, whom we sadly lost. And then SK, I'm sorry you didn't make it to the conversation today, but really this has been special. This is the passion in my life. This is what keeps me going. And your hard work in the end will be rewarded, whether it's on stage, off stage, behind stage. And I think this is what we are sharing with the world, that hard work in the end pays off. Sending much love to you all. The dates for the competition is 13 to 18 July. Make sure that you join us online. And it works as a view on demand. So if you can't start on the South African 2 o'clock timeline and you need to either be in bed or you have just woken up and you can't do a class at 6 o'clock in the morning, the class will be available a little bit later. But this is the way we have to do it right now. And I look forward indeed, Charlene, to creating a space after the competition, and we can definitely do a follow-up conversation and maybe add a few extra dancers in this conversation. Facebook, it's been great, and we see you all very, very soon. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.